an in-year contribution, minimally $100, to the Black Star Project between now and December 31st so that you're eligible for a tax write-off. But to support the memory of Philip Jackson is to support the work of Philip Jackson. Platitudes and niceties are so fine, but it's the work must continue. And Philip loved the Black Star Project. He loved all things black, about black people. When there's with integrity, support the legacy of Philip Jackson by supporting the Black Star Project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Otis Monroe. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And the family is asking, in lieu of flowers, that donations be made to the Black Star Project. Of course, that's 3509 South King Drive, Suite 2B, Chicago, Illinois 60653. And you may also contribute on the Black Star Project's website at www.blackstarproject.org.
Julia, it's important that we continue the legacy that Philip Jackson built, that he started, and that he was so passionate about. It would be a shame for the Black Star Project to go away with the life of Philip Jackson, because it was so much bigger than him. He never made it about himself. It was always about the betterment of the community and doing what we had to do to improve the quality of life for our children and their families. And that work must continue. That work must continue. He would not have it any other way, and that is the best way to honor him. I mean, his memorial services and celebrations are going to come next week. And it's going to be so many people coming from all over the place to show their love and affection for him. But then it's very important that we continue to keep the legacy of his work alive and continue to support the Black Star Project now more than ever. Now more than ever. And so I thank Otis Monroe for sharing that. I wasn't, going to make it an appeal for supporting the Black Star Project, but it is just quite simply the best way to honor the legacy and the life of Philip Jackson. So I thank Otis Monroe for mentioning that as well. Julia, I don't know how your phone lines are looking right now, but I'm also expecting Minister Jeffrey Muhammad from the Mosque Mariam to call in as well. So if he does, you can put him through, or if you have any other callers on the line as well.
Absolutely. We do have callers holding, and we look forward to adding our guest when he does call in. Art, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Hello to you and to your co-host. First of all, I've never met Mr. Jackson in person, but I did speak with him outside on the radio. He called me because I left a number because I was trying to reach out to his brother Sal, who does the cleaning, because me and him had a little issue. And when he called me, he said, "Yeah, Art, I'm here to help two brothers to see eye to eye, not to bring two brothers to crazy indifference." And he said that would be the only reason he would be involved. And the reason I make that statement or tell that particular story is because it is not the work that Phil Jackson did in front of the cameras or on the radio. It's the work he did that people didn't see. And all of us who try to help black people and black children are little Phil, Mr. Jackson's. So to me, I'm quite sure his greatest work was behind the doors and not on the radio or on the news or on the cameras. But what I hear and see and what I've experienced through listening, that he was a man that was trying to help his people. And any man that's trying to help his people should be remembered, and we should always honor him in the best manner that we can. May God continue to bless.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Art. We really appreciate it. And Art is always telling me he's a great friend of the show, always listening and calling in to share his thoughts. And Art, I just want you to know that Philip he respected you. He respected you, and he always appreciated your opinion. Even when you guys disagreed, you were someone whom he would always say, "Hey, I respect Art." Even if we don't agree all the time, Art has in his heart a true desire to improve the quality of life for his people. And so I just wanted to share that with you. I know you said you guys had never met, but you guys talked so many times, and I wanted to share that with you because it's absolutely how he felt. But Juliet, Art mentioned something, and so did Otis Monroe, saying that it was never about the show for Philip. It was never about making things look a certain way. He was all about the work. And so whether it was a press conference or whether it was a certain event, he was all about the work. And so when there was a press conference, there was a reason for it. Anything that he did, any initiative that he started through the Black Star Project, there was a reason for it. Sometimes we couldn't even see it. We're like, well, okay, why are we doing this right now? And then you look up later, it's like, oh, he was 2-3 steps ahead of us every single time. It's like, oh, I see why we had to do that to get to where we needed to go. It was just amazing how he worked and how he thought so far ahead and was so willing to do the work that needed to be done.
Absolutely. And it's just beautiful to have been able to be that close and watch how he worked and the integrity in which he did work, because you can't do anything but just love him and admire him all the more. We have a couple of other callers that have called in and would love to share their stories. Miss Joanne, are you there?
Yes, this is Miss Joanne from the West Side. How you all doing this evening? I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Phil Jackson, because he made me a more accountable and responsible parent. Because, he was, the way he fought for our children, you would think each one was his biological child. So I just want to say thank you for his spirit, and I hope that we all learn and continue his work. Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you so much for the call, Ms. Joanne. We really appreciate you taking the time. He was just a phenomenal person. Every time I think about it, dude, it just really brings a smile to my face. That sadness, you feel it in your heart. And again, it's just the knowing that you'll never see him again. I'll never get to have another conversation with him. But through all the conversation that we did have, I feel like I can just constantly hear his voice in my head and constantly saying, hey, we should be doing this, or we should be doing that, we should be thinking about this, we should be thinking about that. And those things will never leave you.
Absolutely. And he was always so forward-thinking, as you stated, and that's just something that we have to carry with us as we move forward and continue to honor him by continuing to move the work forward and continue to advance as a people and to continue to care for one another in a manner in which we can move forward with integrity without the self-interest and so forth. We have Jim calling in. Jim, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
How are you? I just want to say we also lost Mike Parker this week, so a couple of great radio people in Chicago are gone. But I met Mr. Jackson the first time at one of the WVN picnics a few years back, and then a short time after that, he was asked about getting books and things to help people learn how to read. So out at the Page Airport, there was a whole bunch of books in a bin, and a bunch of bins that this friend of mine had. They were just sitting there, so I said, can I take these? And he said, yeah, you can have them. So I called Phil, and he came out to the Page Airport. It's about 3 years ago or so, and he got about 20 crates of books and magazines and brought them back so people could use them for reading.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. You know, that was his model. It was all about the education, and we're glad that you called in and shared that with us. Have a good evening.
Well, sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jim. We appreciate the call. Absolutely. Philip was all about the education. It was educate or die, and working with the young people all the time. And he would go to whatever length was necessary. If it was about something he could improve the quality of lives for the children, he was going to go and get the books or whatever else needed to be done. And it was just tireless. And so many people were so grateful. I would always joke with him about, I don't like being with you in public. I don't like being at these events with you in public, because if you stand next to Philip Jackson at a public event for 30 minutes, your hand is going to get tired just from so many people that are coming up to him and saying, hey, thank you for this, or hey, even people that hadn't seen him in 10, 15 years, hey, I remember you did this or that for my child, or you did this or that for me, and now I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it was just a constant parade of people coming up to him and saying, hey, thank you, or keep up the good work, and those type of things. Like, I don't want to be with you in public anymore, sir. It's too hard.
What an impact. And it's just beautiful just hearing these stories. And we still have callers calling in and wanting to share their story. We have Brother Manson. Are you there, sir?
Hey, hotep to the both of y'all.
Okay.
Brother Herb, you the right guy to carry on in terms of this radio program and the other great things you do for Black Star Project. I just wanted to say that I was with the Black Star Project when they were on Dorchester at the church, and then when they had operations at his home, and then, of course, where they are now on 35th, in the building there. And, I've been given definitions on some of the other talk shows, and I want to use Philip's legacy to define and let the folks know that he was a real example of the kind of leadership that we need. Dr. Karinga of the organization US has created Kawaida philosophy, and he's trying to definitely give correct definition, because you can't solve a problem if you don't define it correctly. So we offer this as a great definition for leadership. It's the self-conscious capacity of a man or woman to, first of all, provide vision and values, and also have the capacity to produce programs, structure, and practice that satisfies human need and aspiration and transforms persons and society in the process. That's a critical definition of leadership. It's not, we have people who are spokespersons. That's not necessarily a leader. So Philip Jackson had vision, had a set of values that he projected. He had the capacity to organize and have structure, the Black Star Project, with many of the programs that actually greatly impacted folks. The Parent University, and all the things that the Black Star Project did here was duplicated in other cities. The student motivation program, I was able to get put in front of 7th and 8th graders, 3rd and 4th graders, to help motivate them, and that was a great program. The Million Father, just a whole plethora of structured energy. He's just a great, awesome leader, and there's a hole in the black community with him being gone. But again, he lives on. He lives on, that legacy. We'll remember him as long as there are people to remember him. So it's a celebration. He's out of that pain. So I just want to say that. And y'all keep on pushing.
We certainly will. And Brother Manson, I want to say thank you to you for being a great supporter of Philip and the work that he's done. And you always show up. You're always there. And you've just been a great friend and family member of the Black Star Project. And I just want to say thank you for that.
And of course, condolences to Sister Catherine, and Scott, and the family, and Sister Gloria. And, I knew his uncle, the button man, Mr. Jackson. We go back, so condolences to all, and may your family, Philip Jackson's family, have blessings without number and all good things without end. That's from the Hosea, a book of authoritative utterance and wise instruction from our ancient Kemetic tradition. Okay?
Thank you so much, Brother Manson. We appreciate it.
Right on.
Juliet, it's every time, someone calls in, it just more and more things just come back to you and just jump out at you about the type of person that he was and the work that he did. It was non-stop. It was every single day, and it was all day long. It was not uncommon to get a call from Philip Jackson at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it would be uncommon to wake up and not at least have an email from him from 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like, dude, what were you doing up? Like, I know you were up at 9 or 10 o'clock last night. I was talking to you then. I was with you then. How were you also up at 2 and 3 in the morning and sending me these huge drafts of the next project and things like when do you sleep, sir? And every time you asked him how he was doing, and it didn't matter when, it didn't matter where, his response was always the same. Say, Mr. Jackson, how you doing? Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. All the time. And it didn't stop when he became ill and he had his health challenges. It didn't stop then. He would still say, I'm excellent. And even when the days his voice wasn't so strong, he would say the same thing. And so that is what I choose to remember. That is how I feel. He was just excellence personified, and that was what it was never, ever, ever about him. Oh, I'm fine. I'm excellent. What are we going to do for our people? And this is a guy who could have been doing anything. This is a man who reached the pinnacle of his profession many times over, whether it was with CPS or with the Chicago Housing Authority and on and on and on. He did not have to dedicate himself so completely, so tirelessly to the mission of improving the lives of his people. But that is what he wanted to do, and he did it literally until his dying day. He literally kept working in the hospital every single day, and it is a legacy unmatched, and it is one that will certainly not be forgotten because he touched too many people. He touched too many people for that legacy to ever go away, and it is incumbent upon us to not only make sure that it doesn't go away, but continue to build upon it, because even though his body is gone physically, his legacy can still continue to be built because of the foundation that he's laid, because of the seeds of inspiration that he's planted in so many of us to keep going and to keep doing that work, and that will all still come back to be a part of his legacy.
He lived an amazing life of service with a true meaning of love, completely selfless. And I'm just grateful, and I'm happy that people are calling and sharing their stories, because the stories that we share with each other make us smile in this very difficult time. Like, yeah, that's true. Yes, I experienced that part of him. We have Gregory calling in. Gregory, thank you for calling.
Thank you. This is Catherine and Herb.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No, I didn't know who it was that I'm responding to.
This is Julie and Herb.
Oh, Herb, okay, that's wonderful. I didn't know Mr. Jackson, but I want to express my sympathies because he sounds like a committed individual to what he was doing. And he brings to mind a quote that I had that once it said that there's no limit to where a person can go and what they can do, as long as they don't concern themselves with who gets credit for what they're doing. And one of your earlier callers brought back to my mind about education in Herb, and to your assistant here. Y'all may not believe this, but I didn't learn my ABCs until the 4th grade. And back in those times, back in the 60s, if you had older family members, they'll pass you on because they could count on your relatives to help you with your learning, this kind of thing. But I have also read a book which is entitled Unrefined Thoughts for Thinking for Learning. I help kids learn how to concentrate on why they can't concentrate. And one of the literacy programs I attended here in Nashville, they spoke about people who had struggles learning to read are better at helping those who was having the same struggles themselves than those who didn't have the struggle, the learned people.
Well, thank you so much, Gregory, for sharing about that. Mr. Jackson was absolutely about the education, and we appreciate your phone call.
And
you know, it's really exciting when we hear about other people that are focused on educating, because we can share that common thread. That's a way to tap into the legacy of Mr. Jackson and how important it was that we continue to educate one another and educate in different veins, not just ABCs and 1, 2, 3s for the children, but even the adults about empowerment and understanding policy and economics. And we have other
Absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. We have Lorene. Thank you for calling, Lorene.
Hi, how are you? I send my condolences to the family. My family met Mr. Jackson at his Kung Fu class on Dorchester in 1998, and he really inspired my 2 children to work hard with Kung Fu, and especially the Tai Chi, to calm down, to practice and to practice. And I just want to send my condolences. Thank you.